I'm a type of person that like to, let people know how I'm feeling about certain things and situations. And sometimes when I don't speak, people don't speak for you. And sometimes things can get taken out of context or lost in translation when those things happen. But
WEEI, it's KJ. Thank you so much for hanging out after Red Sox review. Remember, the Red Sox lost 7-2, but that is okay. Chris Sale looked fascinating. That's Jaylen Brown saying, look, sometimes when you don't speak, people assume. And when you speak, people can't assume. And I don't know if anybody here has really tapped into what Jaylen Brown was saying in that New York Times article. When he said that, look, I'm looking to put roots down here and yet trying to figure out where exactly that soil would be. It's not about buying a house or being able to afford a house. That's not it at all. So imagine Jaylen Brown with his nurturing has a tree, right? And he's ready to plant that tree because he wants to lay down roots, right? So we'll use a tree. But imagine when you go from place to place where it looks like there's a place to plant it, suddenly someone's put cement there, like overnight. Not because you suddenly need somewhere where people can ride a bicycle safely, but you just don't really kind of want that tree planted in that particular soil. That's what he's getting at. And I totally understand it. Those who are listening to me have known me for the last couple of years here on WEEI. It is no secret. I worked at another station here in the market for several years as a morning guy, playing all the best of Luther Vandross. Okay, there will be no Luther Vandross. But the point being is, it's good to know that someone has a mission and wants to contribute. And then it's another thing for a feeling to exist that the only contribution you can really offer is your performance. Not what you may do or don't team up with any builders and start building housing. No, don't do that. That's about planting the roots. Here's a way of looking at it in terms of the NBA player and what is kind of happening right now. You see Jason Tatum's signature shoe? Does it have any Boston green in it? Because you remember when, for those who are a certain age, the Converse sneaker, Magic Johnson's shoe was literally Laker colors. The Boston Celtics became world renowned for the black sneaker because of the bird shoe. Heck, even Mark Aguirre, who's on fire, if you remember the song from the commercial, his was Dallas Maverick blue. Even Kevin Durant's early shoes have hints of Oklahoma City colors in it. Not these shoes. Of all the four major sports here, who's the last big name free agent to come play for a Boston franchise? Big name. Okay, I got to say his name, don't I? It was Kyrie Irving. That's the last big name free agent who actively, purposely came to Boston. Now, whatever you have your thoughts about Kyrie Irving, that's totally fair because those are your thoughts. But when a free agent comes to town, the idea is, I kind of want to put roots down here. I've chosen to come to this place. And while the Celtics have been very fortunate, they should be sending a thank you card to Danny Ainge virtually every week for drafting Tatum and Brown. I don't know if you've been watching college basketball, but there have been a lot of bricks going up. And I don't see the college basketball game really offering a lot of future for NBA players. The Celtics have been very fortunate in being able to get guys in the draft. And it's real easy to do because if you're a guy, you do your time as a rookie and you say, you know what, I want to test the free agent market. You haven't heard that from these two guys. But you know what they have heard from the fan base, right? It hasn't really been thank you or stick it out, guys. You know, man, and maybe if we remove some of the cement so someone could plant a tree. Okay. Here's more of Jaylen Brown's thoughts on him being part of a conversation beyond just the game of basketball here recently.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, One, winter's over, spring is here, and it's the beginning of Ramadan. So definitely being in better spirits, trying to be, I guess, smile more a little bit, just to come out and just share your enthusiasm and your love for the game. I get that a lot. I probably don't smile enough, but it's a lot of work that we got in front of us, and ain't nothing funny.
Yeah, he just mentioned that a major tenet of his faith is happening right now. If you're not familiar with it, you don't really get to eat a whole lot. And being thankful to play the game. It's a lot. My concern down the road is, will other players, because it just feels like right now when I'm watching the Celtics that, man, despite everything they had, it feels like they just need one more piece. It just feels like they need one more piece to get over the hump. You can't really put your finger on it, but it feels like you need one more piece. That one more piece is not going to come from the draft. I mean, can I add an additional thank you card that needs to be sent? Drafting Robert Williams. I've been saying this for a year and a half. Yeah, he's not the MVP of the team. He's just the most important guy on the team. Because the defense goes through him, starts with him, kind of ends with him sometimes. And he's not dependent on the ball to contribute. That is a bread and basket winner here in New England, if there isn't one. But also the injury. Remember, 6 weeks he was out last year? And then came back from that microfracture? And at the time, I had mentioned other people who had similar surgeries, and one of the names was Zion Williamson. And at the time, I said, hey, the difference between Zion Williamson and Robert Williams is about 50 pounds. How much ball playing has Zion Williamson done? Virtually none. So you have to be careful with this situation with Robert Williams. I'd mentioned the fracture that they showed up, medical records say it happens a lot to players around year 3, 4 in their career who were not used to playing the extensive schedule of the NBA versus what they played in college. That was a common thread that they found. And so here, this incredible franchise, which has had tied to its championship teams, almost all different individual stories that are unique. You can go all the way back to people who actually thought, oh, if it wasn't for Bob Cousy, Russell wouldn't have won those titles. That was an argument at one time. Or the Cowens years that my dad and his friends would talk about, like, boy, that JoJo White and the end of Sam Jones and those guys in there, and Heinsohn and Nelson, boy, the Bird years, then the Desert years and the Rick Fox years. But the point being is, when you have a story, support it. Support it. Do you know how many teams in the NBA right now would make a phone call for either Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown? I'll give you the answer. Every single one of them. And you've got both of them on one team. So when I hear people say the narrative, oh, well, Jaylen Brown wants to be his own guy. I don't know if you could say what he wants. You can only go by what he has right now. And if a guy says that he wants to plant roots, then guess what he's not telling you? He's not telling you he wants to leave. Here's Jason Tatum on the phone call he had with Jaylen Brown about all the different things that have happened in the past with trade rumors and so forth.
Just reassuring the obvious that, we need him. And he's a big part of this team, this franchise. And, without him, we can't reach our goal. So, you guys know that, the world knows that, the team knows that we need him to be the best version of ourselves. That's all that we kind of talked about.
Yeah, you've heard the comparisons of Brown and Tatum being Pippen and Jordan. Most people don't realize that from basketball salary standpoint, Pippen made more money than Jordan. Just in contract money. Now, I'm not talking about commercials and endorsements and everything, because we are in a society where people listen with one ear and then like open their mouth to listen on the other side. It's just strange. But these two are best when they are together. If you see them separated, here are one of three scenarios you will see. One stays, the other one goes. Two, both go and nobody stays. Or three, they go somewhere for absolutely nothing coming back or declining asset. Am I saying fans need to kind of relax and chill on these guys? Like, what are you really saying? Like, what are you really, if you're going to say like, okay, what they did in the NBA Finals, okay, that's fair. But once the NBA Finals were over, it seemed like it didn't stop. All right. I think I've said enough about the Jaylen Brown situation. I think it had to be addressed in that regard from a perspective of a person who understands what it's like to try and kind of plant roots in a place that's relatively new to all of this.